spell. I find when you follow good musicians and just talk, it sort of takes them out of their mood. I could see everybody was in a zone of you know, tapping your feet, nodding your head, enjoying the music. And now I'm here to just talk to you, so you really have to pay attention to the lyrics. The tune isn't very good and the rhythm is awful, but try to listen to the lyrics. Sorry Bruce said that I was a comedian, because I really want to tell you a story. Hopefully you'll find it funny, and then I'll be a comedian. But if you don't, just think of me as a storyteller. What I really wanted to talk about is this predicament we find ourselves in every year. We're nine days from Christmas. And throughout the land, we're engaged in this annual battle. Happy holidays or Merry Christmas. And it goes on and on each year. I'm at a point where I feel it's a plague on both of their houses, because between the politically correct crowd who can't bear to hear the word Christmas in December, and the wannabe crusaders who carry on as if Christmas needs to be defended in this country, I just feel that all the noise threatens really to drown out what I, and I'm sure all of us, really love about this magical season, which is the way it takes us back to our own innocence and to the child that we used to be. I know in my own case, as soon as I see that first Salvation Army Santa around the middle of August, I'm instantly transported back to the little cave in Bloomfield where I grew up. I see myself there with my brother Rick, gathered together on a winter's evening with our parents, lighting the holiday candles. I see the flames dancing in our eyes, and I feel that warmth and the glow. And of course, the anticipation for the morning to follow. Now, every family has its own traditions. In our home, what happened after the lighting of the candles, Ma in her kerchief and Pa in his yarmulke, which is a kind of a cap, would just settle down for a long winter's nap. We were raised by bears. And that left me and Rick to grapple with our annual dilemma. What to do about Santa? Because if he was coming, there were preparations to be made. We knew that. But if he wasn't, we would feel so foolish hanging stockings and all the rest. And we knew Santa was under no obligation to come to our home. We didn't celebrate Christmas. It was not our holiday, even though it permeated the air we breathed. We had no tree. What business did we have hanging stockings? And yet, we had been good. We felt we were at least as good as David and Greg, our neighbors down the street. Arguably better than Billy or Jackie or Danino. Definitely better than Danino. And Santa was coming to all of their houses. He was coming to every house on our street. Why would he skip over ours? Was this payback for Passover? And how would he even know, really, with all of those Christian rooftops on our street, how would he know that ours was different? Is there something distinctive about a Jewish chimney? Do they cut off the last few rows of bricks? Is that the tip-off? This is what we grappled with. And finally, in the end, we would decide to play it safe and try to have it both ways. And so Rick would say, you know, what's the use? He's not coming. And I would say, you're right. Let's get ready for bed. And I would take off my shoes and socks. And ever so casually, I'd toss one of my socks into the air so that it just happened to land on the mantle. It wasn't the firm commitment that hanging would have been, but I figured if Santa came, unless he was a total putz, he would take it from there. Rick took this in and repeated my performance, but being younger, it took him several casual tosses before his sock would stay, and then suddenly I would be seized with a ferocious appetite. I'd say, I need some milk and cookies. And you look like you could use a carrot. And but no sooner would I get the goodies all laid out on the coffee table when my appetite would vanish. And I'd say to Rick, we can leave this stuff here until morning. And off we would go to bed. But you know, what child really sleeps right away on Christmas Eve? So after tossing around for a while in my bed, I'd whisper over to the bed next to mine and say, Rick, are you awake? He'd whisper back, yeah, I'm afraid to close my eyes. I'm having visions. I am too, Rick. What are you seeing? Looks like fruit. Those are the sugar plums, Rick. I've got them too. Are yours doing anything? It looks like they're dancing. I think it's a folk dance. Mine too, Rick. It's the horror. And mine are singing Ava Nagila. And there we were, nestled all snug in our beds, while visions of sugar plums danced the horror in our heads to the strains of Ava Nagila. But eventually we fell asleep, because the next thing you know, we're waking up and convincing ourselves that now it's okay to go downstairs. Where? What, to our wondering eyes, should appear but wax, gobs of wax that had dripped down and hardened from the candles the night before. And Rick and I raced across the room to our menorahs and we would scoop up that wax, scrape it up, it formed balls in our hands. And the warmth of our hands made the wax soft enough for us to mold it into little objects. And first Rick crafted a little Maccabee soldier with a tiny sword and shield, and then I made one and he made another, and soon we had a whole army of Maccabee soldiers with tiny swords and shields. Next, we made a temple for them to defend. Then a whole other army, the forces of Antiochus, that century's persecutor of our people. And we became so engrossed in this world that we had created that we didn't even realize the sun had come up and the day had begun. But when we looked through the window, our faces pressed to the glass, there we saw our friends playing in the new fallen snow, riding in their new sleighs, pulled by the new ponies that Santa had brought for them. And of course, we wanted to go out and join them, but by now, Mom and Pa were up getting us ready for our holiday visit. So, over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we'd go, where we feasted on latkes, on challah, on brisket and blintzes, on kasha, on pugel, on knishes and kishkas. Rick thought we were eating reindeer, but it was actually the holiday feast prepared by grandmother, featuring all of your basic fats and starches. After the feast, we would just clutch our bellies and moan in unison while grandfather delighted us with the old familiar tales of our ancestors back in the old country and all of the quaint and charming villages where they had been persecuted. When we got back to our home, Rick and I immediately changed back into our play clothes and returned to the wax soldiers when there came a knock on the door. And it was our friends wanting us to come out and play. But Craig spotted this little object in Rick's hand and he said, "What do you got there?" And Rick showed him the little Maccabee soldier with the tiny sword and shield. And then we pointed out the war being waged behind us over the temple. And our friends all said at once, "That is so cool. Can we come in and play with that stuff too?" And before you know it, all the boys in our neighborhood are crammed into our tiny living room, engaged in a fierce defense of the Maccabees' temple against the sinister forces of Antiochus. But then, Danilo said, "Can we take this stuff outside? You guys really have to try these new ponies." Before we went, though, my friends yelled into the kitchen, "Goodbye, Mr. and Mrs. Diamond, Merry Christmas." And my parents yelled back, "Goodbye, boys. Come on back when you're finished for some eggnog and gefilte fish." And off we went, you know, boys and ponies, sleighs and wax soldiers, in quest of further adventure in the snowy world outside. And if you could have been with us at that moment, it would have reminded you that the simple fellowship, binding all of us together, is really the important part of that story. And whether my friends and my parents expressed that fellowship as Happy Holidays, or Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, or Blessed Ramadan, or May the Force be with you, it really doesn't make any difference at all. No.